Kabir says, the Guru is great, beyond words, and great is the good fortune of the disciple. In the silence, beyond the words, beyond time and space, deeply relax and be open to the sweet presence of the Guru that resides in the center of your being. Either themselves or other people. And I said, what a good way to introduce Sri Brahmananda to the world at large, who, many of whom had never heard of him, unfortunately, because he wasn't interested in attracting huge crowds, masses of people. His teachings were always very high and not for everyone. Mainly for very serious people who also liked to have a good time, because he had a wonderful sense of humor. But his program was very high, and I began to post quotes from, I'm leading up to something, quotes from Gurji and from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj and Hafiz and Rumi, from the masters from which I read, from whom I read, at the programs, and I put underneath readings from the masters, Ananda Ashram or Satsang in New York City. And I began to see funny things on Facebook. I'd get notices. Julia Jensen likes your status. I said, I'm so glad. What is status? What is that? Sounded like an electric shock or something. Like static? What is that? So I took courage and I sent a message to Sumaki or somebody, educated me. Just status is your quotation. Ah. I said, 8 people like my status. That's good. And I felt very good about that. Then I started receiving comments, how beautiful that quote was, how powerful. One person sent a message. I started a journal and I'm writing all the quotes down from the poets. And they began to read Sri Brahmananda's books, or they wanted to know what I Am That was. And so it's become a wonderful network for the teachings. I'm so glad I'm on Facebook. I got another message that said, let's see, Sandor Temlock likes your status. I said, good. And he likes your link. I said, link? I just found out what status was. What's my link? And link, I found out, after much inquiry, means the postings of the programs, which are my links. So it has become a very, they go up a couple times a week. And here it is, and I thought I'd ask you, what do you find appealing in it, or what do you imagine so many people? Because if you get 16, 18 people saying they liked it, you know there are at least 10 times as many who didn't bother to check it off. You can feel that it had great magnetism for people if so many responded. This is what 2 little sentences, but apparently very powerful. Gurji wrote, if you really wish to become successful in business or any walk of life, concentration of the mind through the teachings of yoga must be mastered. Learn the power of influencing your own subconscious mind, and in a short time, you'll wonder at the changes that will take place. How many of you find that very attractive to you? Now, can you tell me why? What is it about that that would elicit such a good response from people, a natural response? Within the first 5 minutes of its posting, have a young woman who posts, I send her the quotations and she posts them, and also the dates of our programs. What do you find appealing in that? Many of you raised your hand.
To change our mood.
He's telling us. Is that Zena?
Yeah.
Saraswati.
He's empowering.
He's empowering someone is saying, Mercedes. He's giving us, I guess, hope that we don't have to just leave it to fate, to destiny. And Gurji was a great mystic. He believed in the power of surrender, of trust. But he often said to us, because having a great guru for our physical company tended to make us a little lazy. We would just go and sit there and he would just talk for hours, 3-4 hours, and it was, hand feeding us all this wonderful knowledge. But once in a while he would say, I believe in what God said. God said God helps those who help themselves. He said, at least you have to take 2 steps towards me. Then I will take more steps towards you. But here, it's not only that we're being reminded that we can influence our own subconscious mind, but we're being told, he said another lovely word in there that I'm sure New York is like. What was that word? Learn the power of influencing your own subconscious mind, and in a short time. I hadn't seen that the first time around. I said, short, Gurji? But with these gurus, short could be 10,000 lifetimes, Time has no meaning, but we did see, even at this ashram, not only, in ourselves it was harder to see, but our friends would tell us that there's been a change, or we could see changes quickly happening to people. And all that Gurji was asking us to do is to be alert, to be wide awake, to what's going on in our life. Now, how do you think we do that? Learn the power of influencing your own subconscious mind. And he's saying through the teachings of yoga, he says we must master that. He called concentration of the mind meditation, focusing the mind through meditation, putting a spotlight on the moment, on the here now, or on the experiences of the day. But how can we do that? We're asked to, he's empowering us with this knowledge, really, that we can do it. What's the best way to do it? I know my subconscious mind really directs my behavior and my responses 99% of the time, but it was all the time before I learned this. What I'm asking you, what's the best way of affecting? Mercedes?
Witnessing?
And you're right. I always tell people there are two answers that I'm looking for. It's either ego or witnessing. But you have to know when to answer which word. So, and the reason that is because witnessing is our most powerful weapon to recondition or break through the conditioning, the habits, the tendencies of our mind. How does witnessing do that? How many of you are familiar with the idea of a witnessing process, or that there's a witness? How many? Anybody knock in the room? You can raise your hand. See? And yet, we were told by Sri Brahmananda, and it's in the Gita, the word witness 5,000 years ago, reminding us to be the witness, not the judge, of this dream that we call our life. We have to step back and understand, witness what happens when we not only have thoughts, but when we start to think about the thoughts. Thoughts are not bad. You can, get into bed at night when you're very tired and just lie down on the pillows and let the mind bring up anything it wants. That's what it wants to do anyway. The mind is dying to tell you what you've been repressing or staying away from during the day because it's too hurtful or painful. We automatically block the pain by repressing or forgetting. But at night, before it goes into the subconscious, unconscious, it will bring it up. And yogis know now, especially when they've had a teacher who told them about the significance of witnessing and how it can allow us to break through the pain, the memories, the torment of the past. To break through that, we know to lie back on the pillows and let the mind, like a 2-year-old, tell what's bothering it. If you just let those memories drift by of what happened today or last week or last month or last year, just let them surface and drift by, they won't disturb. In fact, they may put you to sleep, because after a while they repeat themselves. They're boring. Same thought comes back. I hate her, I hate her, I hate her. And you don't pay attention, you just recognize, acknowledge that that's your feeling about this one or him. But if you become agitated, restless, find you cannot sleep, if you're still paying attention as a witness, you will see clearly that it wasn't enough that the thought rose up and is passing through, but you have begun to think about it. And you have begun to plan what you're going to do tomorrow to make that right, according to your own mind. And so we keep repeating and building and accumulating until finally we can't sleep at all. Because we're not only looking at the problems of today, but of yesterday and last Tuesday and last marriage or something, or the last baby, how painful it was, and so probably will be for the next baby. Now the mind goes on, creating dramas, because we don't really remember accurately what happened even this morning. We color it with our own emotions. After a while, you begin to recognize as a witness that the mind, the memory, cannot be trusted. So automatically, when you start to think about these thoughts, it takes you, in the beginning it takes a few minutes to catch that your mood is being created by thinking. That's all it is. It is not the memory. I can throw something out to you, because it's a long time now. My father died when he was very young, 58, and I was only 20. Did you see any change in my face as I said that? No. Does it mean I didn't love my father? No, I loved him. Does it mean there wasn't pain around that event? No, there was lots of pain. Is that because it happened a long time ago? No. Why is it that I could say that and there not be any emotion or any change in my expression? Some of you who've been with me a long time know this answer. Why not? How could I say that when there are, of course, painful memories around the death of a father who died very young? But I'm saying it without any emotion. How can I do that?
Because now you believe in reincarnation.
Say it again. Now I believe in reincarnation. Sometimes that works, but not all the time. Sometimes.
Maybe there's just not any pain at all anymore. Maybe you don't have pain about the death of your father.
If I start to think about it, I have pain. What stopped me from thinking about it? I'm going to help you because I want to get on to the next reading. What stopped me from thinking about it, which would bring the pain?
Because you are here and now.
I am here and now. Sounds very good, I am. But what does that mean? What does that mean? How does that, you're close, how does that stop you?
You're not putting your feelings into that event that happened before.
No, you're going too far now. What stops me from putting my feelings into that memory?
Witnessing? Your will.
It really is witnessing, not my will. Oh, I've tried with my will, that doesn't work. Willpower doesn't always work. But what works is, if you're so established in witnessing, you're automatically witnessing. So while I was saying those words, that my father died, 58, I saw Susan's orange shawl. I saw my friend sitting back there with his friend. I became conscious of Dharmadev over there. Different things caused me to have my attention move to those areas. And what I have discovered over the years is that you cannot be witnessing and thinking at the same time. Witnessing allows you to be in the here and now. You cannot be in the past. You cannot be dwelling on the past, thinking about the past, or jumping into the future, projecting into the future, and being, as you said, in the here now, right now. So you're either witnessing or we're judging. You all see that? Now, all that's missing is for you to do the witnessing. Is for you to understand what the witnessing is all about. Every Saturday, if you're able to come again, in the Cosmic Temple, we play a recording of a CD called Witnessing from Second to Second. It's not a CD about witnessing, it's witnessing. And you're pulled into that. How many were in that group this afternoon? Raise your hands. Did it work? Nod your head. Just go like this. Can you go on with this? It always works, that's why I can ask. Because there's nothing to do. All you're doing is listening to the honking of the geese that they go by, or hearing the chirping of the birds, or watching a thought come and go. But you're doing it with guidance, with somebody guiding you through that process. It's written in the Gita, learn to be the witness even of the restless mind. And you will soon see that I'm paraphrasing, but a lot of the Gita places its emphasis on the power of not thinking, of being in your real form, instead of relying on the mind that's really the ego and doesn't know very much about what we really need. It's a big topic, and one of the reasons I thought I would open with a repetition of this quote of Gurdjieff's is because I wanted you to acknowledge that what we want as people is not to feel that we have to have a guru, we have to give service, we have to be a disciple. That's our choice. If we're ready to do that, we should do that. But a lot of people want to feel that they can be their own guru. They can be their own therapist. They can be their own teacher. And that's why I think this had such a great appeal. The truth is, if you do feel that you can trust in the teachings and the messages of all the enlightened ones, they all said the same thing. It makes it much easier. It's so much easier to turn it over to a guru or a master, any guru. Turning over itself means you're dropping your tendency to lean on the interpretation or the analysis of the thinking mind. We would have had more enlightened people, many more enlightened people today, if more people would stop relying on the analytical process to work out problems. If we just trust in the kindness and the love of gurus whom we don't remember, that we've had for many lifetimes in different forms. So you can either do it the independent way, but it takes longer. I know I tried it for a long time, doing it on my own. Or you can do it your way. There was that song, I did it my way. God will wait for you. You're a little slower. But you can do it either way. In fact, this ashram was opened originally under the name of the Institute of Self-Awareness and Self-Analysis. Self-awareness and self-analysis. Guruji wanted us to have that feeling that we didn't have to follow anyone. We could just experiment on our own at this ashram. By the way, I made a statement to someone today, and I don't know if she's here, I won't embarrass her. But she mentioned that a lot of people were away at Omega tonight. There's a huge kirtan festival or something going on, celebration. Krishna Das is there and Shyam Das is there. And many of our people from the ashram went. And I mentioned a statement that Gurdjieff had made in India to a large group of Indian people, and he said to them, now the time for kirtan and rituals is over. Now you have to move back into the highest teachings, Yoga Vedantic teachings. And I mentioned that kirtan now is a very popular movement, and we have our own wonderful kirtan in this ashram. Krishna Devi is our kirtan master, and then we have others. But Gurdjieff emphasized all the time there have to be two, like two nuns always travel together. Kirtan is wonderful, but it needs the knowledge too, the understanding. We have to study, we have to meditate, and then we can enjoy the kirtan more. Kirtan can't stand alone, Hatha Yoga can't stand alone, and knowledge can't stand alone, and meditation can't stand alone. Meditation still needs service to others. Meditation still needs an understanding, otherwise we use meditation wrongly. We use it to escape from the world. And then it's useless, it doesn't help at all. Because we relax and we escape and then we're smack in the world again. But Gurji's emphasized, but in India, he felt they were doing too much kirtan. He felt they had moved away from the scriptures, moved away from Gita, and Gurji was always bombastic, especially in India. He was trying to wake up the people who were very sweet, but backwards. He said the reason he moved to the West is because the Westerners were more ready for this knowledge than in India. So it reminded me to bring out that we can't have just the knowledge either. We need some of the bhakti, the devotion which we feel through kirtan. Kirtan moves us, but you have to balance, I have to balance. We have to know when we're not playing enough, not dancing enough, not chanting enough. And we have to know when we're chanting too much, dancing too much, escaping too much. So with this ashram, it's perfect. We offer everything. Dance, music, kirtan, chanting, scriptural study, meditation. And why do we offer all that? That's what he was. He was a combination of everything we need. And that's why people come for different reasons, but at the heart of it is we want to be as happy as he is. As happy as he is. Okay, I'm watching the time. Any questions about anything I've said? I'm so glad. Does that mean you didn't understand anything? I hope not. Krishnamurti once said that to me. I was in a small group and he had invited maybe 6, 7 people to take part in a small discussion with him, and everybody asked a question except me, because I don't know, I remembered feeling very shy about asking a question. And of course he turned to me and he said, "Young lady, are you silent because you feel you know everything and don't need to ask a question, or because you know you don't know anything?" I thought that was very rude of him. So I told him the truth. I said, "No, I don't know if it's the first or the latter, but I do know I don't know enough to ask a question." And he looked at me and he said, "Very good, young lady." And I never went to a small meeting again. It's easy to hide when you're in a big group, right, Krishna? I used to sit where you're sitting, Krishna, in program. All right, now I was reminded. Does anyone know, Bharati, do we have a cultural event next week? Next Saturday?
What is the date? Not on Saturday,
On Friday?
No, let me look at the...
Go check, I know you have the schedule.
I should have it in my head.
Because I want to know when I can read the story I can't read tonight. It's a wonderful story.
Read it tonight.
I can't read it tonight.
Placed it at
Next Saturday?
8:45.
Oh, that may be the 15 minutes I need. Okay. I'll save that for next, because I have to finish what I didn't finish the Saturday before, because everybody asked for it. They don't let me forget anything. I received about 6 emails reminding me that I didn't finish last week's reading, so I have to do it. And I brought a story in case which never happened, in case the readings went faster. But it's a wonderful story about Li Tzu, the Taoist master, and the sorcerer. So I expect all of you, about 50 of you, back next Saturday. There's a remarkable book entitled Prior to Consciousness, which is actually Sri Nisargadatta's conversations with questioners, but these were his final talks. So they're very, very powerful. All his talks are powerful, but at the end he had cancer of the throat, so he could barely whisper, and it was painful for him to speak. So he didn't waste any words. What you'll hear tonight is if you were there, and he was ready to go. He said he had suffered 84 years in that body. It was time to go. But he had such love for people, which came out in gruff behavior a lot of the times. He was like a gruff grandfather. But he never stopped trying to help people, which meant that he loved more than we realized. And I began a reading about the question, well, it wasn't a question. Maharaj started asking a man why he was writing a book, and he ended up by saying, "There's no need to write a book. Why are you writing a book? Who asked you to write a book?" He was very fresh, but he was after the ego of the man, because the man was older, and these great gurus never wanted us to waste our time. They were constantly reminding us that if we did not undergo a radical transformation, which means breaking through our old tendencies, our old conditionings, our old habits, if we didn't break through those, we would have to repeat this lifetime, this incarnation, exactly as it was again. Because we will be leaving this incarnation without any change in our frequency. We wouldn't be attracting a higher frequency in families to come, in relationships to come. It was a warning to us. And even when we're young, don't wait till you're old to apply yourself to looking into, for yourself, what is it, what habits, what tendencies do we have that are keeping us reliant on the thinking mind, which is a very poor instrument. It's a marvelous instrument if we use it well. Like Facebook. Use it well, and good things will come. All right, I'm just going to read this through because it's very powerful. Short questions, short answers. Maharaj, this is funny because I used the word link before. Maharaj says, Maharaj is Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. He asks the people sitting around him, I should tell you, his programs took place in an attic room in Bombay, and because Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj was a chain smoker, that's why he ended up with cancer of the throat. But he was a cigarette shopkeeper for bidis, cigarettes, rolled cigarettes. And so he developed the habit of smoking. And so all the smokers gathered in this attic room, 30 of them, in a room that really seated comfortably 20 people. It must have looked like a Chicago smoke room, but here he was pronouncing the highest truths in such a room. Can you imagine that sight? It's all smoke. And he says to this group of people, or to a man, "What is this yoga you talk about?" And that's how he spoke very. I have videos of him. And he didn't say, "Mercedes dear, what is this yoga you're speaking about?" He would say, even to shy Mercedes, "What is this yoga? You, open your eyes. What yoga are you talking?" And you know, people were very startled by this. And he said, what is this yoga that you mentioned? What is this linking who meets what in yoga. And the brave visitor says, well, the yoga I speak about is the union of the soul with God. Maharaj, God? God's just a word you heard. The soul, the soul is the direct experience of one's existence. Visitor, well, I just expressed the meaning of yoga as generally understood. Maharaj, oh, that means you don't understand yoga at all. You don't understand true yoga. If you talk like that, you do not understand. Do you know, for example, that only self-realized sages are worshipped, not yogis? Visitor says, so are you saying that I'm wrong to follow yoga? Maharaj, many rishis, many wise ascetics have practiced yoga, but are they worshipped by people? Addressing a newly arrived visitor who had met Ananda Ma, one of the great female saints and sages in India, enlightened, he says to the new visitor, did you attain the state of Ananda bliss when you went to her? If you had realized Ananda Mai as she is, you would never have visited her again, nor would you have come here. If you understand what I say, that's more than enough. You don't need to hear more. Visitor, I don't think it's difficult to understand you. Maharaj, then why do you sit here? You should have gotten up and left. Visitor, no, I would like to sit here for some time. Maharaj, all right, but since you have been to Ananda Mai, let us know what Ananda is. Does Ananda, the bliss, have a tangible form? Visitor, I don't think so, but one can feel happiness. Maharaj, agreed. But do you see it? Can you observe it? Visitor, sometimes I can see the essence of happiness emanating from Ananda Mahima. Maharaj, do you not think a knower has to be present prior to any seeing or feeling? Visitor, after reading I Am That, anybody not know the book I Am That? Raise your hand. It's a wonderful book. It's a book of questions and answers put to this great sage. And I suggested it to scholars who thought they had read everything, who knew everything, but were still unhappy. And almost every one of them reported back that once they read that book, they found all their questions answered, and they were able to pack up their other books and give them away, except for the Gita. Gita and I Am That. The scholars kept with them. So this visitor is saying, after reading I Am That, I understood that a knower must be there before anything can be seen, felt, or experienced. And these are the words that struck me as the most powerful of this conversation. Maharaj says, you, as the witness, are prior to happiness. In simple terms, what is he saying? You, as the witness, are prior to happiness. You know. What is he saying? Anyone want? Mercedes can.
I think what he's saying is that if you learn to be a witness, happiness is part of that. It's inherent to you.
He's also saying you must be first a knower, but behind the knower is the witness. And then he's saying the witness is not the first. There's something that has to be before the witness.
The being.
Oh, you're so smart today. She's giving all the answers. But, you know, we can say the words, but some of the people here, we know that that's coming from here. It's got to be really felt inside. His questions are not ordinary questions. And the mind, our mind is very smart. We've read a lot of books, and we've heard a lot of talks. But after a while, you don't want your mind to answer. You want your mind, you know, it's like having, this is not Mercedes, she's very shy usually, but I used to be a school teacher, and there was always a show-off in every class. And they studied with their mother the night before, so they had all the answers. And the whole class hated that person. The least popular person was the one who had all the answers. And sometimes I would say to that child, feel it here before you answer. And since the child didn't know how to do that, he or she kept quiet. It's very important to have that answer come not from here, but from something deep, your experience in life. That should talk. Your life should talk. Your suffering should talk. Your pain should talk. Gurdjieff said wisdom comes from a million shocks. He never said a million books. A million shocks. Wisdom. Maharaj, you as the witness are prior to happiness. But the ultimate you, the real you, are prior to the witness you. Happiness is not lasting. Visitor. Initially, during my meditation, when I had the experience of the witness within me, I was terribly afraid because I felt that I was split into two. This I do not have anymore. Maharaj, you felt the split. Now, which one was you? The concept of seeing or the witness of the concept? Visitor, I'm afraid I didn't have such clarity. Maharaj, well then at least talk from the intellectual level, if you didn't directly experience the subtlety. Gurdjieff used to say also, how many of you understood this program tonight, or this reading? And people would raise their hand. He said, how many feel you just understood it intellectually? And people, how many of you felt you didn't understand it intellectually, but you got it through feeling? And there were a few of those too. He said, either way is fine. You can begin understanding intellectually, or you can begin through feeling, but there's something should stir in you, some interest, some sense of familiarity. Maharaj, at least talk from the intellectual level if you didn't directly experience the subtlety. Visitor, all right, I feel looking at it intellectually, I feel I'm the observer of the split. Maharaj, explain the two stages. Visitor, I was afraid, I remember, that I would see the splitting. Maharaj, was it the splitting of the concept, or was it the splitting of yourself? Visitor, neither. Maharaj, oh yes. In a way you are right. You, the Absolute, bless you, you, the Absolute or pure consciousness, are neither one nor two. You are prior to both. You are prior to the sense of being pure consciousness, and you are prior to being the witness of that. In the earlier days in India, when the head of the country rode in his car, we have some Indian people here, so you know this is true. Somebody's calling. In the earlier days in India, when the head of the country rode in his car, its license plate had no number. In the same way, you do not need a number because you are the highest. And now Maharaj again speaks to the visitor who wrote books on yoga. You're a yogi, and so you understand what I'm saying, right? Visitor, yes, I understand a little, but I'm not a yogi. I just write books on yoga. He's asking for such trouble. Maharaj, but you've been studying yoga systems and practicing yoga. When you throw sugar or salt into water, they dissolve in it. So I'm asking you, in what did you merge? Visitor, oh, well, sometimes I merge. Maharaj, at other times? Visitor, I was reciting the sacred name. I was doing japa, mantra yoga. Maharaj, and by the way, listen carefully. These are the words of an enlightened being. He clears up so many doubts in one statement. The purpose of japa, this repetition of a mantra, the purpose of japa is to conserve oneself. That means the knowingness is to be retained. Japa in Marathi means to guard, to protect. You should protect your beingness when you practice japa. Another visitor, what do you mean by beingness? Maharaj, what you are. The knowledge that you are, without words, just the sense of beingness. Who went to Ananda Ma? Did your body go or the beingness? The latter, beingness, is prior to body, prior to mind and eruption of any words. Did you practice japa when you were with Ananda Ma? Visitor, yes. Maharaj, japa, the repetition of a mantra, is like a treatment given to your beingness, just as you take medicine and apply poultices to your body for its well-being. Visitor, well, that's what I feel very strongly. Maharaj, are you telling me you feel relaxed when you do japa? Visitor, yes, very much. But now I know something about witnessing. I wonder how I would be doing japa now that I know about witnessing. Maharaj, nevertheless, at the time you knew that you were doing japa. He's after something, Maharaj. He's after. He said, nevertheless, never mind, don't talk so much. I'm just getting to the fact that at the time you knew that you were doing japa. Visitor, yes. Then is this not witnessing or the happening of witnessing to you? Visitor, yes. Maharaj, witnessing happens naturally. When your words enter into me, I respond. Similarly, when we perceive anything through our senses, witnessing of the perceptions naturally happens. No special efforts are called for. Visitor, well, I want to ask about meditation now and yoga. 10 years ago, Ananda Ma asked me to do japa. After some time, I started witnessing the japa going on in me. And then Ananda Ma told me to pursue it. My problem is this: how to attain the I amness, this beingness? How to attain this I amness, this beingness? Maharaj, the first witnessing, by the way, one of the reasons that this whole evening came together the way it is, on Labor Day, is to tell you you don't have to labor at all in order to be enlightened. It's nice that you came here. The easiest way to have meditation as your natural, spontaneous awareness is to learn the art of witnessing. If you learn nothing else this year, tonight's reading will have planted seeds in you that now you will hear about witnessing wherever you go. Now you will find yourself witnessing without thinking about it, because this is something we've all done in the past and then we forgot to do it. We moved away from it thinking that we had mastered it. It's like Sanskrit. Gurdjieff said, if you love the sound of Sanskrit and you don't even know what you're doing but you're chanting Sanskrit, if you're moved by the sound of Sanskrit, that tells you you have studied it, even mastered it, other lifetimes. It was your original language, he would tell. Because we love it. More than other languages we hear. We're drawn to the sound. We may not study it, but we love to hear it. Didn't you like the chanting tonight? It's beautiful. All I have to do is hear the first notes of the harmonium and Bharati's lovely voice. And even if I had a lot going on in my mind, it's cleared. It's our old association with the language. I have just a few minutes, but this is ending now. Maharaj, the first witnessing is that you are. After that, all other witnessings occur. Unless the primary witnessing of you are, or I am, happens first, any further witnessings are not possible. When the flow of words emanates in you, as I've already said, the witnessing of them happens naturally in you. I repeat once again, the sense that you are, I exist, I am, should appear first, and then subsequently the flow of words and its witnessing takes place simultaneously. You often said, do we think when we're talking? Before we say something, are we thinking what we're going to say? How does that happen? That we just talk. There is somebody witnessing. There's somebody witnessing when we make a mistake. That we go back. Did you notice that if someone coughed or sneezed, Surata is making a video of this, that long after I'm gone will be shown at the ashram or someplace, I'm sure, because these talks, these readings are very important. And I'm aware that nothing that any of these masters say should be lost. So some of you may have noticed if someone sneezed quietly, or if a gust of wind blew, or someone flushed upstairs, I was aware. There's a witness listening to these words and even watching my reaction to some of the words that I'm reading. You're watching your reaction, I'm watching my reaction. These readings are for me also. I'm just the reader. I'm a radio. I'm not the teacher. I'm not sitting here as a guru. I'm a radio for all the gurus. I'm just presenting the readings and the commentaries of these great masters. You're not hearing a single word from Joan Suval. And if you are, forget about that. That's not important. Because I focus on these teachings. These are the final teachings of one of the greatest sages in India. And you are at the feet of these sages. Visitor, may I ask a question, Maharaj? Remember Ananda Mai, and with this in mind, put your question, because she's your guru. Visitor, well, no, now I feel I'm quite alone, and that there is no guru. Maharaj, well, what you say is correct. In that understanding, and only in that, you should stabilize. But before you came to this conclusion, did you understand what you are and what the Guru is? Visitor: the Guru is someone who tells me what to do, and I obey what is told to me. Maharaj: shall we call the knowledge I am the Guru? Visitor: yes. Maharaj: but even that knowledge you are not. Visitor: well, when you say knowledge, do you mean consciousness? Maharaj: of course, knowledge, I am, means consciousness, God, Ishvara, Guru, etc. But you, the Absolute, are not that. Another visitor: oh, may I ask, who am I? Maharaj: are you there before asking, or are you there after asking? Visitor: both ways. Maharaj: but this is to be understood. This is to be realized. That I am, this is his main point tonight, I am is even before the arising of any words and questions in me. People always want a name. They want a concept to indicate the state of I am prior to words. When this is done by giving it a name, like for example, Brahman, then they feel satisfied. Visitor: I'm not happy. I'm very afraid of these words that you're saying. Maharaj: also right now or previously? Visitor: even now, I'm not happy, I'm afraid. So take a deep breath. And now as you breathe out, release all the language, all the words. This will only be 60 seconds. So feel yourself letting go and opening up to this now, feeling it, perceiving it, imbibing it. Sometimes it only takes 1 minute to reconnect with your real life, your real home. I am that I am. That is our home. Krishna Devi, would you lead us in our traditional prayer? Thank you, Krishna Devi. And if some of you are feeling very high, that you may need a designated driver, take 2 cookies. Chocolate chip is a great way to come back to earth.